here before you. We're going to have Kaufman Associates, Corey, who you've heard from previously, come up here and give you a quick noise compatibility overview, and then we're going to get right into our public hearing instructions and public comments. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Corey.
Thank you, Stacy. Good evening. Thank you all for being here. Before I read aloud the titles of the measures that will be part of the noise compatibility program, I wanted to just give a quick background on how we got to our noise compatibility program. So last year, we had a meeting here, and we discussed the noise abatement alternatives and the land use alternatives. Then we had and actually prior to that, we had listening sessions where we gathered ideas from the public, and then we convened a technical conference with both land use professionals and pilots, the tower, and aviation professionals to vet those measures that ultimately went into the alternatives analysis. And then we put together the noise compatibility program. So the noise compatibility program measures are broken into two groups. One group which will be reviewed by FAA, and the other which would be implemented locally. So the measures that will be submitted to FAA include updating the general plan policies and maps. So this is incorporating the noise exposure contours into the general plan, and both with a policy side and the actual maps that came out of this study. Updating the regulatory noise contours for fair disclosure in the Ventura County Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan. So again, that's using those contours to communicate with the public about which areas are exposed to aircraft noise. The next measure is to offer to purchase on a voluntary basis 16 parcels that are located north of the runway 25 end to remove those incompatible land uses. A similar measure is a voluntary sound insulation program for 30 dwelling units located north of the runway 25 end. Again, both of those second two measures are on a voluntary basis. Those parcels, as I mentioned, are located north of the runway 25 end, so that is the eastern end of the runway. And this is near Ventura Road and Teal Club Road to the southwest of that intersection. The noise compatibility program measures that are for local implementation are as follows. So this is dedicating a full-time staff person to manage and lead the noise abatement program, developing and distributing noise mitigation materials to local pilots, flight schools, and businesses, updating pilot publications to include current noise mitigation information, purchasing a flight track system, so this is the VNOM system that Jeanette mentioned earlier, and expanding it from just what had originally been considered just a complaint tracking system to include the mapping components that are available with the VNOMs. And then meeting with local pilots, flight schools, and businesses regularly to communicate these noise abatement efforts. Continuing outreach efforts, so this is similar to what Jeanette discussed earlier, to allow the public to visit the airport and learn about its operations. And then educating real estate agents and potential home buyers about Oxnard operations and its presence in the community. Evaluating on an ongoing basis the use of noise monitoring, and then encouraging VCTCs, so this is Ventura County Transportation Commission, to do a full update of the airport land use compatibility plan to incorporate the 20-year forecast contours that were developed as part of the noise exposure maps documentation. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Corey. Okay, so following that overview, we're going to go ahead and get into our public hearing comment period. So before that, I'm going to read a formal statement about the public comment period, and a lot of that information is also here before you. Statement explaining the purpose of the public hearing on the Part 150 noise compatibility program update for Oxnard Airport. The Ventura County Department of Airports has prepared an airport noise compatibility program update for Oxnard Airport based on the requirements and guidelines of the Part 150 of the Code of Federal Regulations. The noise compatibility program update proposes noise abatement, land use management, and program management measures for the area surrounding the airport. The public hearing is intended to give the public the opportunity to present oral or written testimony in favor of, in opposition to, or neutral toward the airport noise compatibility program update. The public hearing is not a forum for debate of the issues. A written record will be made of all comments presented at the hearing. Responses to all comments will be prepared and included with the complete documentation of the final noise compatibility program update. Additional written comments may be submitted by mail or through the project website until 5 p.m. on August 18th, 2025. August 19th, 2025. That might be an error up there as well. These written comments will be included in the transcripts of the hearing and will be considered in the evaluation of the program. So with that, we're going to go ahead and open up the floor. And I do encourage everybody as well, even if you've already made a comment or you had a question earlier, if you'd like that submitted into the record, we encourage you to stand up and approach the microphone and state that once more so we can have it on record. And now we'll go ahead and begin. So if anybody has anything they'd like to submit on record, please approach. Wonderful. And if you would say your name and your affiliation.
Yeah, Ben D. Benedetto. I'm the transportation chair for the Oxnard Shores Neighborhood Council. Excuse me. I wanted to talk about the land use section, and there's been a lot of work done by you folks that, in my opinion, goes a long way in solving potential problems later on and issues with home buyers. I'm a retired real estate broker. I'm also a past planning commissioner. And there are a couple of notations in your chapter on land use where you talk about coordination of disclosure of what you documented in the noise study, the 60 CNL, the 65 CNL, and having those contours drawn on the plat map for individual properties. That's huge because there is no coordination, as you know, between the general plan, the airport overlay, and the City of Oxnard Planning Commission, which can change the zoning. That's how you end up with a school 950 feet from the center of the runway with a leaky vapor barrier from contaminated soil. That's how we end up with people that have homes that are inundated with noise over sorry, I'm losing my voice here, over the sound limitations. So that's key. And coordinating all of that through the various departments that you're going to have to coordinate with the other issues of land use is critical. You have the Aviation Advisory Commission, which is tasked in their bylaws with working with city, county, local neighborhood councils, and the state. They can be key in helping you organize this and making sure that each department is working together. So disclosure is very important. You have a way to put it together. And I'd hope that all of those suggestions you've made in that section will get taken care of.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Hello.
say your name and affiliation.
Miguel Fernandez, resident of Oxnard. I live just north of the airport in the neighborhoods that are known as Cabrillo neighborhood. And I just want to say that I am a proponent of the airport, and I understand that if you're going to live near an airport, you have to expect that you're going to be subject to a certain amount of air traffic noise. I don't have a problem with planes coming to land at the airport. I don't have a problem with aircraft, and I say planes, I mean aircraft of all types, coming to land at the airport or to take off at the airport, because that's just a singular momentary issue that happens and then it's gone or it's landed. I have a problem with flights that are either practice or training or otherwise that circle the airport endlessly for periods of time going on to more than 15, 20, almost a half an hour sometimes of that type of traffic, especially helicopter based, which is louder than fixed wing aircraft of the Cessna type variety. And that's essentially my comment. I wanted to put it on the record. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Say your name and affiliation. Thank you.
I'm Gilbert Peters, and I'm a resident of the Cabrillo neighborhood. My comment is if there would be any way to limit the number of touch and goes at the airport, it would be of a great boon to my neighborhood. I happen to live, if the pattern is wide, I live in the on the right-hand pattern to 2-5, and a lot of airplanes come directly over the house, and since training activity has increased in the last year, it's 7 days a week, all day. So if there would be some way that would limit the touch and goes on over this neighborhood, it would be great. I know there are other airports, for example, Camarillo, that you can do a standard pattern there without overflying any neighborhood. I realize they get busy, but perhaps if there were a way to limit the touch and goes at Oxnard, it would solve some of our problems with noise.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
If you would say your name and affiliation. Yeah, you could.
Kirsten Meeker.
Perfect.
My family has lived on the corner of Little Farms and Ventura Road for about 75 years. And I just wanted to comment on the land use mitigation part of the plan. It seems like most of the plan is saying we're going to continue to pursue the programs we have now to try to handle noise complaints. But the one change I'm really seeing in there is to propose to offer optional buyouts to people on Little Farms Road and Teal Club. And like, I think our parcel has been identified even though it's not in the noise boundary. And I don't know if that's because there's some kind of provision where you just want to buy out the whole neighborhood so that, you know, there isn't like one or two houses left. But I feel that this is not really addressing any of the noise complaints, which aren't really coming from the houses right by the airport since we've lived there for 75 years. But yet making this change is going to make it so that the neighborhood will disintegrate. There will be no incentive for anybody to live in or purchase a residence there, because the future will be that will be turned into industrial area. So I feel like this is kind of targeting the neighborhood that's lived compatible with the airport for a long time and not really addressing the concerns of the people that are complaining. And then I also wanted to comment, because I'd gone to the previous meeting where you talked about the noise monitoring. The noise monitoring, they were telling me that they had to wait for times when they didn't have road noise to get the aircraft noise. So the road noise is so significant there on Ventura Road that I don't think the airport noise is really that big of a concern. So when you're drawing these contours and just looking at the aircraft noise, you're not considering that the actual noise level is probably already higher due to the road. So if there were going to be noise mitigation, I would much prefer a sound wall from the road than the airport, because I don't think the airport is really causing as much noise as the road. Thanks.
Thank you. there anybody else that would like to make a comment tonight? And for those that maybe don't have anything just yet, you can always submit your comments later via the website, or you can drop them off at the airport. We also have a comment section in the back of the room to my left, so you can also write your comments down there and put them in the comment box if you'd rather provide a comment that way. Okay. Last call. Anybody else? Yes, sir, please. If you could state your name and affiliation. Thank you.
My name is Roland D'Souza. I'm actually from the neighboring town. There is a concept of known as active noise cancellation, where you take a noise, you use a microphone to pick it up, generate a noise that is anti-phase to that, so that it cancels it out. Is it something that looks possible? I think maybe you can just note it down and let me know if something like that is feasible.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes. We'll put that in the record. Okay, anybody else for the public hearing comments? Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and close up the public hearing portion for tonight. And we're going to jump back into our open dialogue.